Evening. Welcome back to Beyond the Lane, episode 24. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Good evening to everybody watching at home. Hope you're all keeping well. Well, Philly, Karl, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you guys are good. Philly, man, how are you?
I'm good, Dan. Nice to meet you, Karl.
And you, mate?
Nice to see you again, Nige, as well. I'm all good, mate. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're great, man. We're going to have a cracking show tonight. And Karl, it's great to see you, man. You've been away for a while. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks. Thanks for having me on tonight. You know, the start of the year was not feeling too good. Health took a bit of a hit, so that kind of put a stumbling block to everything that was going on. But yeah, feeling better now, mate. Back in with it, and glad to be on.
Oh, great, man. And please go and subscribe to Karl at That Spurs Podcast. The link will be in the chat. Nige, how have you been, man? Been busy, haven't you?
Hello, mate. Yeah, it's been a really busy day. First of all, hi to Karl. Good to see you back, mate. Hello to Philly as well. And of course to Dan and the chat. But yeah, it's been a manic day. I bought a new car today. So well, I say new car, used car. So yeah, I literally just got home half an hour ago. Quick shower and didn't even have time to make pancakes, but I got my cup of tea, I got a beer, and I've also got a squash just in case, because I just don't know what I want to drink yet. But yeah, anyway, how are you?
No, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Busy day as usual, but great to be here. Talk about the mighty Spurs, eh? Now, guys, please remember to subscribe to myself, Nige, and Karl if you can. That would be great. Thank you very much. Now, so tonight, pretty straightforward show. We're going to be previewing the AZ game. We're going to be talking about Ange and the players, our expectations for the rest of the season. And then we're going to finish it off with a Bournemouth preview. So, guys, everybody watching, would you rather be a Spurs fan right now or a Manchester United fan? Let's start off. Anybody? Nige? Tough question, eh?
Yeah, that is tough. I think I'd rather be a Spurs fan, actually. I think United are woeful at the moment, and at least we have a little bit about us, even though it may be in like 5-10 minute patches. United literally have nothing. They're really bad. So I think I just err on the side of Spurs.
Before I ask Karl and Philly, I just want to big up to everybody in the chat, say hello to a few people. Big up, Mark. Hope you're feeling better, mate. Big up to the other Mark as well. How are you? Nige is saying smash the likes. Big up to George. Evening to you. A few people saying hello. Big up to Ray. Evening to you, Ray. Hope you're good. He says hello. Big up to Eugene. How are you, Eugene? I've got to get you back on the show soon, mate. I hope you're good. And just George saying no chance of me swapping Spurs. Karl, what do you think about this that question? Spurs, Man U. If you look at the kind of squads, you look at the owners, where both teams are right now. Which one would you pick?
Well, I think if you look at it with everything that's going on, especially if you look at everything that's going on at United right now behind the scenes and the mess that club seems to be in, if you're looking at the squads, the facilities, Spurs have got everything going for them, where I'd find it hard to believe that someone would pick Man United over Spurs, because, we've got the facilities, we've got a decent, squad. We've got a squad with some potential. I think United are a bit of a mess at the moment. We're still unsure. I mean, both teams, I think, are still unsure about both managers and whether they're the right guys to take these clubs forward. But everything at Spurs is in place to become a superpower club if things are done the right way. Whereas at the moment, if you look at United, that looks like a crumbling giant, a bit like the Colosseum. Great in the day, but now it's starting to fall apart, looking old, looking tired. The squad-wise, I mean, they are in a relegation scrap still, and lots of question marks over the manager. And when you look at, as I say, all the stuff going on in the background, the financial stuff, and when a club like that is having a layoff, the amount of staff they're having a layoff, not being able to give staff food and stuff like that, that's serious trouble behind the scenes there. So, yeah, I think anyone looking at this objectively would have to say Spurs are in a much stronger position to go forward and do something. But this has always been the way, isn't it? Spurs have always been in a great position to do something. And it was like when Chelsea looked like they were starting to fall away and everyone's thinking, Chelsea, that's it, they're done. I would still say right now, I still wouldn't be surprised if Man United were to come back and win something before we were.
No. Yeah, you're right, because they've won in the last couple of seasons, haven't they? Even not been a good side. Now, great points there. And Philly, before I come on to you, there was a video I saw today. It was in one of the WhatsApp groups. It was Rio Ferdinand. He was talking to some finance bloke, saying that Spurs are the what was it, Philly? Did you see it? That video about? No, it was. I don't know if anyone else saw it, but basically, Spurs make the most profit, they run the best in the Premier League, something like that. And yeah, it's all well and great, all good, isn't it? But come on, like the club, they need to step up massively in the transfer market. They'll break the wage structure. They're just playing it too safe. Philly, that question to you, how would you answer it? About Man U and Spurs.
Right. I heard Karl's points. I heard Nige's points on it. And I'm going to surprise you all, yeah. Amorim was at the start of his tenure. He's not had a summer transfer window yet. So the only player he's actually got through the door yet was Dogu in January. Other than that, he had no window whatsoever. And Postecoglou's had 2, so he's further down the line in his process. At least at United, if they follow Amorim properly and they back Amorim properly and give him exactly what he needs to do something, then he might be able to pull Man United around. I don't see Ange doing that for Spurs. So it's a catch-22 for me again. But at this moment in time, with off the field with Ineos and that, you can see that they're struggling for money. They're letting staff go. So they must be struggling for money in some aspect along the path there. But on the footballing wise, I would say Man United are further down the line than Tottenham, because at least in their club, it's ingrained in them to win trophies. They've won in the last 2 years.
So you would pick Man U still, yeah?
On the footballing wise, yes. Because at least under Amorim, right, he's not had a transfer window, not a proper one, and just had 2.
The people are not happy with him. You know that already. The fans, Man U. But what he's doing.
Dan, what did the people expect him to do without a summer transfer window?
No, I agree with you, Philly. I agree.
I guess the only trouble is, though, is when they like this summer, who's going to Man United? What player in their right mind is looking at the mess Man United are in right now and thinking, oh, Man United want me in the summer. Oh, I'm definitely going Man United. Years gone past, United was always a destination where top players would go, I want to go Man United. The club, the history. Right now, if you're a top player, there's no Champions League. The club is in chaos and a mess. What top players are going to go, oh, yeah, that looks an exciting opportunity to go to Man United right now? I don't think there's many top players that would be too keen to go there.
All right, then. I'll ask you the question in another route way, yeah? Where you like to win more trophies, at Tottenham or Man United?
Yeah, but currently?
Yeah, go on, tell me. Which one you like
Man United are in currently, do you see Man United in the next few years are they going anywhere near where they used to be?
Right. They've won trophies in the last 2 years, yeah. Which club is likely to win trophies, Tottenham or Man United?
I say it's a toss of a coin between both of them.
Oh, you think it's a toss of a coin, but that's not the last 2 seasons, because Man United have won a trophy in the last 2 seasons. So the question again remains, which one are you likely to win a trophy, Tottenham or Manchester United?
I'm not going Man United right now if I'm a top
you're not
player.
going to Man United. Okay. But I would say Man United are more likely to win a trophy than Tottenham Hotspurs.
I don't know. I'm currently right now, with the way the 2 clubs are, I don't think you could suggest Man United are more favourites to win anything than Tottenham at the moment. You're putting a face, but United are below Tottenham. They're in a bigger mess on the football pitch than Tottenham. So, yes, in the past they have, but that's the past. The past is gone. That's not the future. So how can we sit there and say, looking at Man United right now, that they've got more of an opportunity of winning something than Spurs?
Man United finished winning something last season and they won a trophy. They finished the season before.
Again, you're talking, that was last season. That was last season, Philly.
Oh, that's it. Oh, okay.
They're in a bigger mess right now than they were last season.
Well, listen, Karl would choose Man U, Spurs, and Philly would choose Man United, and I just think both teams are a bit of a mess in the season, and we're talking about the team.
Dan, I'll caveat it by saying neither team are winning anything. Well, because they're such a shambles.
We'll see.
It's a toss of a coin as to, like, the Europa League. Neither us or Man United are getting to that final. But that would be a toss of a coin of who would win it.
Well, we'll have to see, won't we? Because it wouldn't surprise me even this bad Man United team get there. You know,
we'll put it this way: if us and Man United got to the final, even though we've beaten them 3 times this season, in a final, in a one-off game when it mattered, they'd probably beat us this year.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, if it was between us and them in a final,
right?
But United are in absolute shambles at the moment.
I agree with United are in the shambles, but when the chips are down, you know this United team will fight for everything. And when it's high pressure moments, they usually
get been down all season, Philly. The chips have been down all season, and they haven't fought for nothing this year.
All right, so we said that last year when they won the FA Cup. They did that
again, last year. This is a team in even more of a mess this year than last year. You keep going back to last year or the year before. They're gone. This team's
Man United are in massive trouble, guys. They're in massive trouble. Like financially,
when the chips are down, if you're in a relegation fight, the chips can't be any more down than in a relegation fight. And that team can't get themselves up to play anyone or beat anyone in those situations.
How many points they got?
I think we'd all admit that, United are United, and they are probably more likely to win a trophy before Spurs. I think Karl's already said that at the start. But for me, we're in a position where we've had Ange for 2 years. We know he's crap. He's probably, hopefully, going to be gone at the end of the season. Whereas United are with Amorim. I personally don't think he's a man. I think United are too big for him. And United have got to go through this, in my opinion, probably for at least another half season to a season before he goes, because he's going to be given the summer. So hopefully we're going to be in a better position, maybe at the start of next season. That's
but Man United have got no money. They've real big problems. They can't be going spending 100 million, 70 million pounds on players in the summer. And that's what Amorim needs.
I think United will sell players in the summer.
Who's going to buy their players, Philly? No one's going to buy their players.
Yeah, but somebody will find a player that they like. Who would have thought that they would get rid of Anthony on loan? But he did. So they will get rid of the players. They'll make the fees here for these players here viable. They won't be like Tottenham, putting extra money on the fees so the teams walk away and say, well, we don't want to do business with you. They'll make the players accessible. So if teams want to come and buy their players, they'll come and buy their players.
Look, I just don't think it's going to be that straightforward for Man U. I think Ten Hag had a problem, didn't he, shifting some? I think it was it's big. Maguire's still there. Their
big problem isn't it, the wages they've offered and paying players. They're paying players such silly money that now it was a bit like, you want an offloader player. Yes, you might be prepared to take a cut on the fee that you get for that player. But when that player's told, but you have to half your wages because this new mob are only prepared to pay 100 grand a week for you, and you're on 300 here at Man United, then the player goes, actually, I'm not so sure. I might just sit around and stay, if you like. So that's going to be their biggest problem, is the fact the money they're paying these blokes to try and get them off the books. And one thing that United have got coming up at the moment is a big stadium rejuvenation. That's going to take a lot of money from them. I don't see United coming back to being a sort of power that can be up there challenging anytime soon. I really don't.
No, difficult question. It's great start to the show, eh? That's what we like. Lively.
You wanted it lively, Dan?
Yeah, I did.
Got one in there early, Dan.
Yeah, that was good, man. Now let's move over to a bit more about Spurs now.
Wait a minute, Tanya. Wait a minute. Well, Man United, are they equal on points with Tottenham at the moment in time? That's what I know, innit?
I'll show you. Hold on. I'll bring up the league table, mate. Hold on. There we go.
So they're level on points with Tottenham, innit? This West Man United team ever is on level points with Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham.
Yep.
So
what are you saying, Philly? What's your point, Philly? Sorry?
I'm just looking at it and thinking, this worst Man United team I've seen in 20 years here, the worst one I've seen in the Premier League, is a level of points with Ange Postecoglou's almighty Spurs team. That's what I sort of know, innit? Because this team here, right, is at the beginning of a manager's tenure, right? So they've got an excuse of where they are in the league right now, because they're just starting a new process under a new manager, and we've got a manager who's been here for 2 years, and these equal on points with a manager who's just come in the job. So congratulations to Ange Postecoglou. Good job.
That question, there's lots of different things to it, isn't it? So there's the owners, the financial state, there's the squad, there's the performance this year, who's the manager of each team. There's lots of different arguments on this, isn't there? You're right, Philly, about the team and the manager coming in and joint points with us. Ange has had, 3 transfer windows now, isn't he? 3 or 4 transfer windows, sorry.
Yeah, and 2 January. Yeah, 2 January, 2 summer.
There's no getting away with it. Spurs are massively, massively underperforming. Yeah, shocking. And Man United, Yeah, look, the manager is going to take time to get his system going, and with Almarin, he is sticking to his system. Everybody's crying out to him, saying you've got to adapt to the players you have. You haven't got the players you want to play how you want to, like you did when you managed Sporting Lisbon. But he's sticking to his guns, isn't he? And he's not shifting away from his style of play, and that is causing defeats after defeats, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
but I think
what do they want to do?
Yeah, I think the ownership are saying to him, mate, it's a write-off season. I think they're saying to him, wait until next season, yeah. Wait till the summer, and then let's see what you can do from this summer coming. Until then, yeah, ride the storm out.
Yeah, that's probably happening. But the fans, they're not happy, miserable, aren't they, at the moment, like us?
So if as a Spurs fan, you wouldn't be happy. If you're a United fan, you're going to be livid with the way they're playing.
Yeah,
you know, we'd be the same. We are the same with Ange.
True. Any more points on that question before we move on? Because it's a lively one. That we could go on a bit more. But should we move over to Spurs? What I want to know, guys, and Karl, I'll ask you first because I haven't spoke to you for a while and you've been away. Where's your head right now with Spurs?
Do you know what? It's interesting, Dan, because obviously I think the thing with Spurs this season right now, I'm struggling to get any enthusiasm for the remainder of the season because I kind of feel the season is going to be just a bit of a damp squid from this point on. And it's going to be, we're not going to win the Europa League. Let's face it. The AZ game will be tight, I think, because I think it's probably two evenly matched sides. But I think the minute we come up against one of those better sides, I think we'll be found out the way we are when we come up against most good sides. And I think that's the problem for the remainder of the season now. And I think the Man City game showed it. We'll be okay against the likes of Southampton, Ipswich, fine. But the minute we come up against an organised team who know what they're doing with a manager that's switched on, we will be found out. And this probably won't be happen in the Bournemouth game. They are probably looking forward to coming to our place because I think they're structured, organised, and they'll be able to take advantage of the way we play. Like I say, the AZ game, again, for me, toss of a coin game. The away fixture, I think, is vital because we need to be coming back in the home leg with maybe just being at worst a goal behind, if anything. You know, yes, we could go there and probably we could win. It's two evenly matched sides, but I still fear our away form is that Achilles heel that will kick in, and we need to stay in that game. And if we can come back to the home leg, even if it's at worst one goal behind, there's still a chance that we could win that tie and get through to the next round. But that would be as far as I could see us going in that competition. So I'm struggling to find enthusiasm because, again, like I say, I think the minute we come up against a half decent team, I don't see us being able to get a result. And that's even with the players back. You know, even if Romero or Van der Ven come back, because the manager's system is just there for taking apart. And as we saw against Man City, you know, the result flattered us in the end, didn't it? 1-0. Because let's be honest, in that first half, City should have had 3, 4, 5, and that game's well out of sight, and that result looks a lot worse than it did. Yes, we kind of got some momentum in the second half. We still never really looked dangerous, did we? We don't have a front line that makes you think we're going to score goals. We don't have a defensive unit that makes you think we can be solid. And again, in midfield, it's all just a bit meh. Yeah, it's all a bit meh. So, yeah, I'm struggling at this moment in time to get any enthusiasm. I can't. You kind of just feel we just need to limp to the finish line and then see what happens. And with a bit of luck, when we reach the finish line, the manager will be told, listen, thanks very much. Don't see you being able to take the club any further than where you are. And we look to move on at that point. But who knows? You know, the way things are going right now, he might still stay, Ange, and he might get another season. And again, you just sit there and think, well, what would be any different?
Yeah, look, we're going to get back to those statements you made, Karl, throughout the show tonight. But yeah, look, I'm very similar to where your head's at. Philly, where's your head at right now?
Oh, mate,
About Spurs?
I'm having the time of my life, mate. I ain't gonna lie, you know. I'm enjoying this season as a Spurs fan. I got to see Tottenham play against Power Rangers, and Tottenham were the team that basically held on in the end. I thought Rangers should have beat Tottenham to backside. I ain't gonna lie. I enjoyed watching the Alkmaar game. Actually, no, that was a boring game. That was when the Pigeons scored the penalty. I remember watching the game against Hoffenheim when it was wave after wave of Hoffenheim attack and Tottenham just split open like the Dead Sea. I remember these games. I was entertained, brother. I'm entertained watching Tottenham get split wide open, mate. I'm entertained this season watching the likes of Solanke and the likes of Odegaard. Oh, he didn't play that much; he's been injured. I'm enjoying watching these players every week here and thinking. And watching Timo Werner get into the area and then realizing that he can't shoot and hit a barn door. I enjoy watching all these games, man. I have to give my props to Daniel Levy. Well done, mate. I'm really enjoying being a Spurs fan. Now the truth, yeah, this season has been awful. And I knew this season would be awful because the squad itself wasn't prepared to go into the season. Let's just be real here. As soon as they had a few injuries here, we all saw the wheels were going to come off. We said suspension, fatigue, and injuries would play a part in the season. And guess what? All three have played a part in the season. We're going to get even more fatigue come March, come April and May, yeah, because we've been playing the same players week in, week out. So we're going to suffer fatigue and drop off because this system, yeah, takes a lot of energy, yeah, because it's a very energetic system the way that we play because you're constantly closing men down. So you're going to get fatigue. And it's going to be a drop off again. Now, I'm worried about players coming back here because they play this high octane football that we're playing here and have the players coming back from injury. Guess what? They're going to get injured again. I wouldn't be surprised if Van der Ven comes back and gets injured again. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if Romero comes back and gets another injury. But even then, I think Romero's already told the club, I don't want to be here. Am I surprised by that? No. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that. Right. You want to talk about the Alkmaar game? I watched Alkmaar the weekend. They were awful. They lost 3-1 against Heerenveen, and they were awful. So I'm not even looking forward to the game on Thursday because if it's like that, it's going to be one of them games we're going to get the pillow.
They've been okay, AZ, lately. Other than that game, they've been all right. But we're going to get into AZ a bit more very shortly, Philly. I've got a little bit to say about them. But no, thanks, Philly. No, I get where your head's at. Again, very similar to Karl and me. And Nige, I guess not much has changed since I spoke to you at the weekend when we did a stream. You're still Ange, aren't you? But, until the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I've already got my Ange scarf ready for next season. No, I'm struggling to follow Philly after that. It's
passionate rant.
It's one of those, isn't it? Just want us to do well and win the Europa League. I know it's going to be tough, but at the same time, if we were to go out against Alkmaar, maybe that would fasten the process up of other things happening quicker.
Right.
Like you said, the fear is if we do well, then next season, Ange is our manager again.
Look, just quickly, I'll say my bit before we move on. But this season, especially this season and the end of last season, the buzz of watching Spurs is gone. Like, I don't look forward to watching them. I don't get excited when we score, even when we win and we get a rare win, because I know that we're rubbish. We are. We're just not good under Ange. The system, it's so naive. We saw it the other day against Manchester City in that first half, how open we were. And we just didn't have any idea what we were doing. And we were lucky that Man City didn't have their shooting boots on that day, because they could have been 3 or 4 up.
How many times have we said that this season? Yeah, we've got lucky. Galatasaray, we got lucky. We could have been slapped 6 or 7. They had over 30 attempts at goal. Even worse teams than that. Tamworth could have beaten Spurs. We got lucky in that one. Luck runs out, mate. Real talk. Luck runs out.
It's a truly shocking and miserable season, and it's been the worst for so many years for me. What I can remember in recent memory, like last season, the end of last season, I was sick of watching us when we kept on getting smashed. We think we lost 4 or 5 in a row, And I just couldn't bear watching us anymore. And that point, we had our players back then. So it wasn't like we had injuries. We had just completely lost the plot. But guys, look, I'm sure we're going to dip in and out about this team throughout the show. It's impossible not to. Now, the Europa League knockouts start this Thursday. And I'm sure many fans are buzzing for this, right? And many fans probably think our name is on that trophy, back on the trophy. Last time it was back was at 1984 when we won it. No, seriously, there's nothing left to play for this season other than this competition. The league, all we're playing for is pride now. Ange is trying to keep the losses down, and he's fighting for his job. Well, I hope he's fighting for his job. So all we have now is this Europa League. Look, I want to win this cup. Yeah, I don't believe in Ange, but I will get behind the team. Yeah, I really do hope the team have a go. Look, I have major doubts. But look, I've got to follow something. Yeah, I've got to try. I just have to hope that, it's asking for a miracle, really. But we'll see on Thursday what level of performance we'll put out. Now, let me ask you guys, before we go into the game in a little bit more detail, and people in the chat as well, are any of you excited for this knockout stage? Go with Philly first.
I'm excited. Do you know what, Dan? Yeah, I'm going to surprise you now. I'm actually going to say it's actually the motto of Tottenham Hotspurs. I hope Tottenham do win it. Do you know what? If Tottenham win it, yeah, they prove people like me wrong. Fair enough, because that's all I'm asking for. Go out there and prove me wrong. But do I see it happening? No chance. I reckon that I'm looking at the knockout stages here, and I watched Ajax in the last game, and they held on with 10 men, yeah, again in the last round. They made it through, and now they're playing in the quarter. Now they're playing in the next 16. Right, so that could be the quarter-final match. I watched Lazio week in, week out, and I'm very impressed with Lazio. I love the way that they allow teams to come onto them, yeah, and then hit them at the back. That is fantastic watching that. All right, and this is why I'm saying Tottenham against Lazio. I wouldn't like to see that one. All right, and the other one I like is Bilbao. I've watched Bilbao quite a lot lately as well, and Nico Williams and Inari Williams are both on fire at the moment. Oh, and I watched Sociedad as well. But the last game they got absolutely spanked by Barcelona 4-0, and Barcelona and Real Sociedad had a mad thing off as well. But these teams are going to come into their own, and especially Bilbao and the final being in Bilbao. I want to see how they cope in this tournament, because there's going to be a lot of pressure on that team there to see how far they go.
So you are excited, but you just have major doubts with Ange and this team. When it gets to those clutch moments in games where the manager needs to step up, the players can only take you so far, right? Players.
Dan, I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem. Yeah, Tottenham squad itself. Yeah, I reckon it could win the Europa League if it was managed right.
I agree.
Ange, yeah, he's not winning anything in Europe. His record in Europe speaks for itself. There's a reason that he struggles in Europe, and that's because in Europe, yeah, he's up against better quality managers and better quality players, and then they'll show him up for just how bad a manager he is.
Well, we'll see what happens, won't we? We've been dreadful in this Europa League up until this point. I mean, we've only got through because the level of team we've played have not been great. Let's be real. And when we did play anyone half decent, we got smashed Galatasaray 4-1. That game was a disgrace, how Ange set that team up that day. Absolute disgrace. You could go through many of them. The Rangers one as well. What really irked me, that did. Getting outplayed by Rangers, properly outplayed, and we were lucky to get away with a point. Now, Karl, are you excited for this competition?
No, because as I say, Philly's hit the nail on the head. Listen, anytime Spurs play, I'll be watching. I want us to win. And like as Philly said, I'd love nothing more than Ange to prove us all wrong and bring home that Europa League trophy and be able to say, there you go, you doubted me, but we've gone on and we've won this. But the reality is we know where we are, and you have to be realistic. And I'm not a daydreamer fan who think, yeah, but we've got hope, because we've seen this side have shown too often this season that unfortunately, when we come up against a team where their manager has a plan and they'll be prepared to take advantage of our fullbacks bombing on the way they do and leaving it just 2 men at the back trying to face the onslaught of an opposition 4 strikers or 4 forwards coming forward, will be found out. And, you know, when we look at, like I say, when I've seen Spurs fans almost talking about when the draw was made for this, for the rest of the competition, like, oh yeah, well, it's AZ, we'll probably beat them, then we'll face these in the next round, so that's the semi-final. You're sitting there thinking,
That's
have
kids,
you
right?
been
Karl,
watching?
that's the younger fan base, right?
It is, but I still say there's still some people who are sitting there planning their, oh, right, yes, we'll beat them, then we'll have them in the next round, then we'll play them, and that's only AZ, yeah, no worries there. And you're thinking, have you watched this side this year? We went to Coventry and only just about managed to come out of there with a win in the end, in a game that they should have won hands down. You know, we've Ipswich at home, you know, Leicester. This is a team that I think the manager can't when the manager needs to step up, he can't. I also think when the players need to step up, they prove time and time again they can't do it. You know, whether we like it or not, but you know, Roy Keane was right when he said what he said about James Maddison. You know, and Maddison can have all that throw in the dart when he scores 1 goal. But I'll guarantee you, Roy Keane was right. When a game matters, if it's 0-0 in one of these tight games and we need a player to step up, Maddison won't step up, Johnson won't step up. These players just won't do it. And when there's pressure on, they crumble even more. So I want us to win it, but I just look at the way the season is and the way we play and the manager and the way we'll set our stall out. And you have to know we just won't, you know, and the season will peter out after that. Like once we lose, if we go out, say, against AZ, I don't see Ange being sacked now. I think if he was going to go, it would have happened after the League Cup exit and the FA Cup exit, because any board in their right mind would have said, well, listen, this guy hasn't got it. We've still got a chance of one more competition. Let's get someone in who could possibly actually give us a real chance of winning that competition, because this guy just doesn't seem like he's going to be able to do that. But I just see him sitting with him now till the end of the season. I don't see, you know, like I say, the AZ game for me is a flick of a coin, but it'll be hard. It won't be one of them where we'll fly through that game. If anyone thinks, oh yeah, this will be comfortable, not a chance. We'll be hiding behind the sofa for most of it, no doubt, watching through our fingers.
Well, against AZ, this is embarrassing, man, isn't it? AZ.
Yeah, AZ. And we'll just be sitting there going like, you know, heart attack stuff. But I just can't see us getting any further.
It's crazy. Absolutely madness. Nige, let's go to you, man. Are you excited for this competition? Is there anything in you that you're maybe looking forward to Thursday? You know, you're going to get a nice takeaway in and a couple of beers in, sit down, relax, and watch this game. And any excitement from you at all?
Well, see, I'm going to probably flip-flop on what I said earlier a little bit. Just because, do I think we will win it? No. Do I think our manager's crap? Yes. But, and I hear this on YouTube all the time, and I understand it. Facts over feelings. I get it. Facts speak for themselves. But I'm a fan. I feel, you know, I love this club with all my heart. So, what's wrong with feeling like, yes, come on, we're going to win it? So, until we're out, I'm going to believe that we can win it. Do I think we'll win it? My head? No. But my heart and my feelings are saying we got as good a chance as any. So let's go out there and do it. And I wouldn't say I'm excited, but like you said earlier, it's all we've got left. So I'm going to put all my eggs into this and be shouting at the top of my lungs Thursday night. And I do think it's going to be an uncomfortable watch, like Karl says. But why not? Why can't we go on and win it?
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into this game on Thursday, 5:30 kickoff. I've got some information we're going to look at around AZ Alkmaar. Just bear with us. Let's just get it on the screen. Okay, so let's start off with the lineups. No, actually, we'll start off with some information about them first, actually. So AZ, they were in good form headed into the weekend's action before that 3-1 loss, ending a 7-game unbeaten run, during which the Dutch side won 6. The Dutch outfit have won 10 of their last 11 matches at home, with the sole blip on the record, a 2-1 loss to Sparta Rotterdam. So they're not been in too bad form, and especially at home, they're not easy to beat. So AZ's strengths are they're very strong at defending set pieces, strong at counter attacks. They're strong at creating scoring chances, although I don't think they score many goals. Strong at stealing the ball from the opposition. Their weaknesses are avoiding offside, aerial duels, and their kind of style of play is short passes, control the game in the opposition's half, and a lot of their attacks come down the left. Now, they seem to have a very kind of handy left back called Wolfie, and how they play and what I've been watching. I've been looking at some of their highlights like over the last couple of days, and their fullbacks they keep wide. They play with 2 defensive midfielders. They have 3 of them. But normally we see, if you look at the key players, is, sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Kalase and Coopermans. And they kind of run the midfield. And another key player for them is Parrott, who's their top goal scorer. They have another player missing who is one of their best players, is injured, I'm afraid, for them.
Yeah,
which one?
Mark Van Bommel's son. Van Bommel. Yeah, he's
one.
injured.
Off in the
There you
Tottenham
go.
game, didn't he?
Yeah.
The guy's second from top. Sven Milinas is supposed to be a good player. That he's out, one of their key players to their team. Now, if you look at their league form this season, 24 games, 13 wins, 4 draws, 7 losses, scored 40 goals, conceded 24. They won 43 points, sitting 6th in the league. Their Europa League form was, they ended up 19th in the league, but obviously got through those playoffs. Won 3, drawn 2, lost 3, 13 goals scored, 13 goals against, and they just got 11 points. Let me just take that off the screen for a minute. Look, I don't know if you know much about this team. Obviously, we played them earlier in this season, and I felt that it was a bit of a horrible performance by us. I know we won 1-0. Mikey Moore was kind of like the shining light in the second half. He took the game to them. But I remember AZ having some chances, if I'm wrong there, guys. Can you remember that game?
I remember the game. Because that game, was the debut. Was the first time I got to see a player called Ernest Poku, who plays for AZ Alkmaar, and he had Gray on toast. Every moment that he saw Archie Gray, he targeted him. He was running at him. He was running at our back four. Our back four, inviting him into the area, and time after time after time, the likes of Barrett had opportunities, but they did not fit. That's the problem. They just didn't finish it on the day, and they are good on the wings, and they're going to exploit the space here. When Tottenham go forward, they're going to exploit the space here because they've got wingers here who like to go outside there and do and to attack down the wings. So their strength here will be our weaknesses. Of when we go forward, they're going to be playing their balls down the sides here, and they're going to be looking to get at us very, very quickly. Now it depends whether we've got the shooting boots on Thursday night to whether what happens in this game. But I watched their last game and I was not impressed with AZ whatsoever. So I just don't know which AZ will show up. If it's the one that was playing on Sunday, then Tottenham should win handsomely. If it's not, then my fear is that AZ win this game, and then the second leg Tottenham will go forward, and then they'll leave him more space at the back for AZ to counter attack, and that's another problem to me again. So
that winger you said, Poco, although he looked good, he hasn't got any output all season. Barely scored or assisted. So he's a type of guy, looks good on the eye, does really well into the final third, and then his kind of finish or his final ball lets him down. But still, he's going to cause us some problems with his pace, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Well, Adama Traoré doesn't have much output, my friend. Yeah, he causes problems down with his pace, isn't it? So therefore, you could always say that kind of thing.
Yeah. You could look at it like that. It's not always about the stats. It's just kind of disrupting defenses, isn't it? And that's the kind of player that we've been lacking all season. A player like that, a bit of a wild card. Now, before I go on to Karl and Nige, just a little bit more about this team. Now, they have a system. They know what they're doing. They have a style of play. And that base in their two defensive midfielders helps them a lot, because once they're them sitting in there, their fullbacks fly up there, their wingers fly up there. And Parrott, he's doing all right, isn't he, really? I think he scored about 12 goals. And then they have like an attacking kind of midfielder playing behind him. And their back line is very consistent. They're looking at the lineups from the past like 5 or 6 games. It's always the same defense, maybe a little change on the fullback, but they're consistently the same side. And they are in a bit of form compared to when we played them earlier this season. Now, Karl, any thoughts on the opposition on Thursday? And now I've told you a bit more information about them.
I think any team's dangerous to Spurs. We saw, we faced Tamworth, a non-league side, and they took us right to the edge and should have won that game. So I don't think it matters who we're playing, how well they're playing. We've seen, history has taught us they could have a striker who's never scored a goal in his professional career. Dr. Tottenham will turn up, bang, first goal for his club, first goal in professional football. So I don't start reading too much into the other team's form and everything like that, because I just think it will go out the window. Spurs can make the most average of teams look like a real dangerous side, and especially with the system we'll play. Ange will probably do something as well silly, like leave Spence on the bench. Those little things that he does. So yeah, I would say I can't go into any game at this moment in time, no matter who we're playing, thinking, yeah, I feel confident about this one. I don't think we need to worry about the opposition. They've got a winger who hasn't had much output, because that bloke will have the game of his life against us on Thursday night. So you just have to think, let's hope we go into it. If we've got some players back, Van der Ven maybe, Romero, talk that they might be back. And ultimately, if they are, I'd play them, because this is all you've got left in the season to go for. So there's no point hanging around now. You may as well play these guys and get them in the team if it's going to give you the best chance of winning the competition or winning the game. But yeah, it's, again, like I say, it is, as we say all night, it's a toss of a coin, isn't it, of what Spurs turn up. But any opposition is a dangerous opposition when they play against Spurs, for me.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Anybody's a threat. Ipswich beat us, Leicester.
The one thing that kind of obviously worries me is our attack, because I think we're so toothless up front, with the likes of Johnson, Son, at the moment, Tell, not been impressed at all by what I've seen from him already. We're so toothless up top. We've got Johnson, who everyone tells me is quick, but I've never seen him outpace anyone or run past any defender that he's ever come across yet. So I don't know where this pace is. He must be hiding it right now from us. Doesn't have the skill to take players on. We know that Sonny's time is up, and he's not giving you that output. So I worry that we're toothless up top and we're open at the back, and that's dangerous against any team you come against.
Yeah, good points. And we're going to go to look at the starting lineups shortly. Just Nige, do you think we're just going to see a performance like a chaotic performance from Spurs again, where we're all over the shop? Like, we might create some chances in bursts, and then we'll be so open and naive, and that you will see AZ get in behind us. They can play some football. Do you know what I mean? They have some ability. I've seen them score goals from outside the box. They can score free kicks. They like to get wide, like Philly says. That especially the away game, they are going to cause us some problems. Look, the level of quality of player compared to ours, we should have better players than them, but that doesn't mean anything, does it, under Ange? And it always comes down to the kind of the manager and the system and the kind of the team, how it plays together. And I think AZ are a more organised team than us. Nige, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think this is going to be a really tough game. I think Ange will just play the way he plays. He's not going to change anything. My concern is all of the things you said Alkmaar are good at, Spurs are bad at. So, we're not great at set pieces. We're not great at defending set pieces. We're definitely not great at, we get caught on the counter attack quite a lot. And if they're good on the wings, then Porro is going to get ripped a new one because
Should we look at the
every
lineup? Should we
week.
look at the predicted lineup, guys? And let me get the lineup, which I've seen online, which could be the side. But look, we can go through it, right? So obviously, we all heard the news that Kulusevski's now injured, right?
Brilliant.
We don't know how long for, but he's got a foot injury.
Yeah.
So that debate of who's going to play Kulu or Johnson is done. So it looks like Johnson's definitely going to start on the right. Now, like you guys have been saying, the forward line does not excite me. It doesn't excite you. It's not playing in some kind of patterns or play. I mean, do you remember, guys, when we used to have the cutback goals? Yeah, and we all used to moan about it because it was the same goal, but even that's gone. I don't know what we are doing in an attacking sense. Look, forward. Let's start off with the forward line. Is that the forward line you'd pick? Tell Johnson and Son? Philly, what would you go with?
Mate, you know what? If it's a youth project, just drop Son, and play Mikey Moore. If it's going to be a youth project and you're doing it for the future, you might as well just throw Mikey Moore in there now.
It's not a youth project, Philly. This is the problem.
But the thing is, I'm not being nasty, Dan. Yeah, I think we've seen the best of Son Heung-min, and I think he needs to be dropped on the bench here so that it could be so that every player can realise that it's not about your name or not about it's not about your name, but it's about current form. And Son's form has been off for the last few months. It's been off, so it's time for him to go to the bench. But you know what? This team will not drop him on the bench. So yeah, this is the best lineup they've got so far.
Would you not play Wilson?
I'll play Wilson Odubel on the right. I'll play him on the right-hand side where Johnson is, and I'll play Mikey Moore on the left-hand side, and I'll throw Tell up front. And you might as well just let's see what they've got, because I think you'd get more out of those three, because they're more hungry than the three that you've got at the moment, because Johnson is limited to me. My man I don't think my man's even heard of a step over. I know he hasn't heard of a drag back, mate. Because when I watch him play, he's devoid of any skill whatsoever. It's like hang a carrot in front of him and tell him run.
Who's that, Philly? Who are you talking about?
Brendan Johnson. It's like hang a carrot in front of the man and say run, guy. Because I don't see no drag back. I see no step over. I see nothing from him. He's devoid of any skill whatsoever.
How's he our top goal scorer?
Because he just knows he just got that knack here, like a Welbeck, of knowing where to be when the ball's in the area.
So you wouldn't play him? Would you not play him?
Mate, I'll play him as a second striker. I wouldn't play him on the right. If you're going to play Johnson, play him as a second striker and have him feeding off someone like Tell or have him feeding off someone like Solanke.
Okay, I get where you're coming from, Philly, but knowing Ange, right? Knowing Ange, he's not doing none of that. He's not. So if we look at how Ange plays, he's not going to change formation.
No
what are his best options? Now, for me, I think Johnson would probably be better up front than Tell. If he can he's got a bit of pace, get on the end of things. We've seen him finish. If we just give him that to do, not any kind of build-up play or anything like that, keep him well away from that, I think that is kind of the best option we have. Or there's Scarlett, but he doesn't fancy Scarlett at all. Karl, what would you do up there at top there? I know it's not pretty, but
yeah, I mean, like I say, it's limited options and limited quality, isn't it, at this moment in time? Like I say, Johnson, he has a knack of getting in at the back post and scoring goals, which, you can't fault him for. It is obviously a kind of skill, and you've got to give him credit for being able to anticipate and get in those positions. But if you looked at most of Johnson's goals since joining Spurs, they would be 4 or 5 yard tap-ins at the back post. He offers you nothing outside of that. He's not going to run with the ball at his feet and take fullbacks on and get to the byline and sling crosses over. And again, I say, I don't believe the guy has pace. Everyone says about pace. I don't believe it. I haven't seen it. Again,
who's that? Johnson. He hasn't got pace.
Yeah, Johnson for me. No, I haven't seen this myth that Johnson is rapid. When's the last time you saw him out sprint a fullback in a one-on-one race? When's the last time he picked the ball up at his feet and you went, Aaron Lennon had pace where times you went, wow, this geezer is on the move and now he's gone.
What's his strength then, Karl? What is
Johnson.
Johnson's strength? If you had
Nothing.
to say something.
Getting into the back post and putting tap-ins.
Being in the right place.
Yeah, which is a skill. You can't knock him for that. But he can't run with the ball. He can't take a fullback on. He can't shoot. He's never going to score a goal from outside the box, is he?
He actually did, though, in the Europa League.
Johnson would be one of those players. If I was a fullback and I knew I had to mark Brennan Johnson for the afternoon, I'd be sitting there thinking, happy days. Great. Not a problem. The same with Son on the other side. Great servant to the club. You know, can't knock him. Brilliant. Was at his best. You know, that when we had that Son and Kane combination, it was unbelievable. But those days are gone now. Son is again another one who can't seem to take players on. He had his best game in the last game in the Europa League, where you suddenly thought it looked like a new signing.
But it's the opposition, Karl, isn't it? It's the opposition.
Well, yeah.
Elfsborg.
Yeah. I mean, but that night was the old Sonny that he was like, bloody hell, who's this new signing at number 7? Because this is a bloke prepared to take players on, dropping the shoulder. And he was murdering his fullback that night. But far too often, Son gets the ball, just turns back, looks to lay it back to the fullback or lay it inside, and the move breaks down. Tell, again, you know, it's still early days for him, but I don't see a 60-odd million pound footballer there. He looks a very similar player to the likes of Johnson and players like that you think he'll have purple patches here and there and he'll score the odd goal, but he's not going to be a player that's going to push you up the league and start making you challenge for honours. But again, early days for him. But that is the lineup I see, Ange. That is the forward line I think Ange will go with.
So the one on screen, is that what you think he's going to go
That's
with?
what I think he'll go with, yeah. There's something not right with Mikey Moore this year. Why he hasn't got more game time. He's been ill a lot, and that's really dubious, the illness thing constantly. So I don't think he'd play Mikey Moore in this game, and I don't think he'd start Odegaard. I think those front three that you've got there will be the three that will play come on the night.
Nige, you know, do you think he can't drop Son? Number one, because he's the captain. He has scored goals in this competition. He scored 3. He's performed slightly better in this competition. Do you think he will go with Son, Nige, on that left?
I actually think Son might start through the middle. I can see Tao being dropped. I think Odegaard will play on the left. I think Sonny will be up front, and I think John. No matter what we think of Johnson, and he's not the best player. He's, like Karl said, he never beats his fullback, but he does what's asked of him every single game. And what Ange wants of his wingers is getting in that back post, and he said that from the start. You know, I don't care if my striker don't score 20 a season because my wingers are going to score 10, 15. Johnson does that, but sadly, whoever's on the left doesn't yet. So for me, Johnson has to start just because of his numbers. And I think it will be Sonny through the middle with Odegaard on the left.
Okay. I would go with pace on Thursday. The paciest players that we have to go up front and just sit in and try and play them on the counter. But, you know, Ange's not going to do that, is he? He's going to just play the same way. You know, try and take the game to them, high press, so disorganised, midfield open. What's it? Who's the guy who says it's like a donut? I think it's Mark, isn't it? Cookmeister. He calls that on midfield like a donut. I like that. Any final thoughts on that forward line, and then we'll move into the middle from anyone? Philly would change it all up, man. Philly, you would just change the whole thing up, wouldn't you, for that game?
I would indeed, man. I would. Yeah. I'm looking at it now, and I'm thinking, I would change the whole lot up, mate. I would. I'm not liking Tell as the solo. We were having this debate earlier, and Tell fits that category so well as well. Tell is not a target man. It's not a centre forward. It's not that kind of architecture centre forward. It's not a conventional centre forward. He's more of a centre forward that we're looking to run on the channels, mate, and looking to get behind. But we don't even play that way. I would play Bentancur further back, and I wouldn't even play Bergvall on the side there, because I think that leaves you quite open as well. I would play a box-to-box midfielder next to Bentancur, even if it's Sarr, and just push Maddison behind Tell so that he can feed the ball into him. But I just don't understand what the manager's doing, so I'm just gonna let him do what he does anyway. It's irrelevant I'm saying all that because Ange won't do it anyway, so what's the point?
Yeah, it's frustrating, man. So frustrating, isn't it? So let's get into that midfield there. Maddison, Bentancur, Bergvall. I mean, guys, do you agree? Do you like? I know it's not much to like, but would you go with that, or would you want a bit more solid in there? Maybe Basuma in there. It'd be great to see Gray in there, wouldn't it?
I certainly wouldn't want Basuma in there to be solid.
Well, what I mean, Karl, is that he's a bit more experienced, a bit more defensive, you know, and he did have a good game. Him and Bentancur away to what was that win we got at Brentford? They played quite well together at that game, but I know what you mean, Karl. He's so inconsistent, unreliable. I don't know, guys. Floor's yours. What do you do?
I think it's all similar, isn't it? You could pick any. You could put Sarr and Basuma in there. Would you feel any more confident? Not really. You know, Bergvall, I think, deserves a start because I think he's growing into himself this season, and he always wants the ball. He's not shying away from anything. But I think, yeah, the midfield, as I said earlier in the show, I think the midfield is just a bit, you know, each one of them can have good games, but equally, each one of them can have games where they cost you the game with silly passes, misplaced passes, and it just doesn't offer you what you need to in a lot of games, and it will get overrun as it always does.
Look, it's really tough, isn't it? Like when we go over the starting lineup and we think who should play, it all really doesn't really matter, does it? To be honest, because we all know what we're going to see, and you know sometimes you just feel it's a bit of a pointless conversation. I mean, the only other kind of thing I want to talk about this lineup, the defence will pick itself. I don't think we'll see Van der Ven. There's something going on with him. We might see Romero. I even heard Solanke's back in the squad, but we will see. So it's probably likely to go with that back line. Spence will come in at left back. Guys, I would play him right back, but Ange doesn't play him right back. He's now a left back. He's turned him into a left back. He's turned Gray into a centre back, or a right back, or a left back. And it's all just doesn't make any sense. Let me just take this down.
I don't like Spence on the left-hand side, though, I have to say. Because he's got no left foot, the amount of times the ball has gone out to him on that left-hand side, and he's looking to try and play down the left, but having to get the ball onto his right foot to do that, and he just doesn't look comfortable. With Ndoggy back, I'd like to see Ndoggy on the left side and Spence on the right, because Porro can't defend, and I think Spence would just offer you a lot more on that right-hand side than Porro would. Porro's great if you're going to sling the ball into the box. He's got a great cross on him, but defensively and outside of that, I think Spence offers you a lot more than what Porro would, but not when you play him on that left-hand side. I think you kind of nullify some of his threat on that side.
And it's going to be a problem now on that left now because we've got Johnson playing. Porro, if he's going to play, there's going to be chances there. You need someone to cover Porro on that right. We'll just see it all day long on Thursday that, you know, he'll be caught out. I don't know the level of quality of the AZ winger, but still it will disrupt us. And all they need is a cross, a half decent cross into the box, and you know, Parrott. Can you imagine Parrott scoring? Can anyone see Parrott scoring on Thursday?
Of course, it's what happens, isn't it? But I agree with David Clark.
What comment?
Last comment.
The up-to-date one, yeah?
Yeah.
This one?
No, this one down out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, but when you brought up that last when you brought up that list here with the players on it, can you notice how Porro was just wide out? Porro and Adochie, the two wide out figures. There was nothing ahead of them. There's no like wingers there ahead of them. So when you look at the opposition here, they're just going to bomb it down the sides anyway. Because we don't have out and out wingers. We have inside forwards. So we don't have out and out wingers here to even say that they stop their opposition defense getting forward. So usually you get a 2-on-1 situation, really, and their defenders overlapping on the other side. But that's just me. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking to myself, if I can see that as a normal everyday fan, yeah, how can the manager not see that? And then and think about, let me change that and make it. Are you telling me that Ange is watching the game? He's not watching how Spencer's getting ripped apart every time like that?
I don't know what Ange is doing. Honestly, I don't know what he's doing. He's it's just unbelievable, isn't it? How bad a manager he is, and he's there just smiling away and just guys, it's just dreadful. When we talk about it, and we do it obviously every week, and we go on other shows or whatever, talking on WhatsApp groups, talk with friends, family. The more I talk about it, the more angrier it makes me. Honestly, it winds me up. Yeah, I try and look at it as objective as possible. But once you get into the nitty gritty of it, he is awful. This manager is the worst manager we've had probably since who? Guys, we're going back.
Christian Gross.
And even Christian Gross had a better record, I think.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And that's terrible, isn't it? Like, and then we're going to get into it in a minute when we talk about Ange and the players. There's a few things I want to say, but let's go to the chat because I haven't read any comments out. So let's get the chat up.
Can we just ask David if he's okay? He's very aggressive tonight in his comments, isn't he? Like, David, if he disagrees, instead of just saying, "No, I'm not so sure," he's like, "What planet are you on? Where have you been?" Like, he's on it. Very, very, very aggressive with the comments, David. Maybe just try and chill out a little bit, or feel free to come on and air your opinions.
There's an invite there, David. David, let's read your comment out. We are crying out for a number 9. Scarlett should be playing, else we might as well keep the ball on the floor and not cross the ball in the air because we have nobody with aerial ability. It's a bloody joke. Yeah, I don't think Tell's great in the air. I haven't seen it yet. Mark the Sheriff says that's because Johnson is not a winger. Jimmy Hotspur, evening to you. He was only 48 million, Karl. Who's that? Johnson.
Which is that's the thing, isn't it? A £50 million player who basically, what he offers you is tap-ins at the back post.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's what we brought him for, I guess. Daz Spurs, big up to you. Tell is not a number 9. No, he's not. He's definitely not a number 9. Pointless signing for me, waste of time. So Spurs buy a player for 47 million to play as a right winger, and lo behold, he's not a winger. You couldn't write it. David's on it. Son as a number 9 is a bloody joke. He's another player who hasn't got a clue how to play number 9 role in the system or any other system. Now, Son did do a job for us previous seasons when he had more of pace. He did score goals down the centre when Kane was missing. JJ, even to you. Laugh out loud, the donut. Archer, even to you, Archers would still prefer to move Spence to right back, a doggy left back, and Porro push for as a right wing. Many people are always suggesting that, or play 3 at the back and you have them as wing backs. But Ange is never, ever going to do that. Never. He's never going to change. Never. David Clark, again, you can't criticise young players, but sorry, Berval gave the ball away far too many times in the last game and he offered no cover for his fullback. Fair comment from David, guys? Or do you think just Berval is just raw and young and he's getting used to the team?
It's a fair comment, isn't it? But it's a comment you can make about every one of those midfielders, to be honest. Basuma, how many games has Basuma given balls away that have cost us goals? How many times has Bentancur given the ball away? How many times has Sarr given the ball away with sloppy passes and that? I think the one thing I like about Bergvall is he always wants the ball. He doesn't shy away from it, and that's a great sign as a young player. But by no means a finished article. He is very raw. He had, the fact that you're looking at him as like people thinking he was going to be this standout player this season, that suddenly he's going to take Spurs to a level up here, him and Archie Gray. delusional. But I think over the last couple of months, I think Bergvall can hold his head high to say, yep, he's grown into it a little bit more. He looks more accomplished, but he's still young. He's still raw. He is going to have bad games. But like I say, so have all the experience head, Bissouma, Bentancur, Maddison, Sarr.
Yeah.
They've all been just as bad at times.
Yeah, that midfield is a mess. But a lot of it is on Ange and how he sets the team up. We're crying out for a DM. We're crying out with some kind of a sergeant in the middle of the park, a winner, a ball winner, somebody who can help Bergvall. You know, that's what we need. And that, you know, this is my hope in the season. Get rid of Ange, getting a decent coach, get a DM. Yeah, so you can help some of these younger players develop. Anybody else want to say anything about Bergvall?
Yeah, I do actually. I like Bergvall. I'm going to lie. I like Bergvall as a player. But I reckon that the way that we play, the intensity and the speed that we play, we see that. I think that's why Bergvall makes a lot of his mistakes. Because I reckon, if he had time and space on the ball, and he could control it, and he had the time and the tempo to be able to look at where he's going to play the ball, yeah, right, I think he'd be a far better player. But with the way that Tottenham play, yeah, or the speed that Tottenham play, I think it lends into players making mistakes in vulnerable areas, because they're having to think at a split notice, yeah, and that's what causes them to make the mistake. And that's what I saw with Bergvall. When we played against Newcastle, I saw that with Bergvall. When we played against Everton, I saw that with Bergvall. So I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, you're a decent player, bro, but you just need that. You just need to realize here that you've got to bring the game down to your own speed. You don't have to go at 90 miles per hour like this manager's trying to make you do. You just got to think about it methodically and look at where you are on the pitch here, and look and try and have an open mind of where your teammates are as well.
I get that. Totally get that, Philly. Yeah, it's great. He's getting the games and development and all that, but he's just playing under the wrong manager, isn't he? And the players around him, questionable, aren't they? And there's a comment here by Jimmy in the chat. He says, "It's time Maddison stepped up and controlled the game." Now, I don't know if Maddison's that player. I've got to be honest. I don't think he can control games. But what he can do is create for us, score goals, assist. He needs to be higher up the pitch. He has a lot to offer, and he has got some good output this season. You need somebody next to him, you know, to help him. Like when he played for Leicester. Do you remember who he was playing with in midfield?
Yeah, Tillemans and with Ndidi. Or Tillemans and with I can't remember the other one is what. Indeed, he had a defensive midfielder and he had a box-to-box midfielder doing the work and running for him, so he was just able to create. And then when you have Vardy, this is why I said Tell would be a good striker for him, because when you had Vardy in front of him, yeah, he'd be able to find Vardy with the through balls and the balls over the top to Vardy and let his base do the work.
I don't know if Tell has got that in him. I haven't seen it. Maybe in the future, but Tell looks very raw, doesn't he? When we've watched him, he can't hold the ball up well. There's been a couple of good touches. He did score one goal. I remember he took it well, but he looks like a player who he's got a lot of work.
Let's
to
be
do.
honest though.
A lot of work.
If Tell was the next big thing, Bayern are not letting him go. And that tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it? Bayern have looked at him and just gone, don't think this kid's going to be what we need at this level. Otherwise they don't let him go. Simple as that. And you know, they're not prepared to let him go on loan with an obligation to buy. They'd be saying we might let him go on loan, but he's coming back here when he's done. The fact they were happy to let there be an obligation to buy him in there tells you what you need to know about it. I think the thing with Maddison's best work will be done sitting behind a forward in that number 10 role, just being able to float wherever he wants to float. But like as Philly said, you've got to have the donkeys behind him who do the dirty work and allow him to say, listen, you don't need to come back and do this dirty work. You just stay there. We'll give you the ball and you feed those wingers and that forward man. But right now, we're not playing a system that suits that. And we don't have the midfielders around him that suit him. And as we know, there's definitely an issue there between him and Ange, in my opinion, and the fact that he keeps getting hauled off at certain points in games when we're still looking for a goal, and you're sitting there thinking, why are you bringing Maddison off at this point in the game when we're looking for a goal? But he needs to find more consistency and do it on a more regular basis, because right now, once every 3 or 4 games isn't enough.
For me, I don't think it matters who we play in midfield. Ange doesn't want control. He's come out and said that he don't want to control games. It's the way he plays. So I don't think it matters who plays in midfield. I don't think whether we have Maddison or whether we had the best midfielder in the world. I just don't think it matters. I do think Maddison needs to control games, but I think he would do that under a better manager and under a better system.
Look, let's wrap up this game, because I mean, this is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a game where AZ will get chances, and we will get the odd chance ourselves. We will create, but it's going to be a chaotic game from us. I think AZ will have a plan. They'll know what they're doing. And being at home, the first leg, I think they're going to cause us some problems. If they win, that's another thing. Or if they score many goals, I don't know. I don't really know how really good they are, really, even though we're not great. I think it could be a narrow defeat, and that would give us a chance in the second leg. Could be a draw. I don't have any confidence saying that we're just going to go there and win. We've got to be real. There's nothing really in me unless it's a complete change of performance or Ange does something different. I just don't think it's straightforward, but I think we'll probably keep it enough to maybe win the second leg at home with the crowd and, a couple more players back. Solanke will be back. Guys, do you see it like that as well? Or do you think this game's going to go differently?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think you're either looking at something like a 2-2 or 2-1 to them, or possibly even something like a 3-2 one way or another. But as I said earlier on, even if we was to lose, if we can come back to the home fixture, maybe just the odd goal behind, then I think it still gives us an opportunity, like as you said, Dan, home crowd, home fixture, couple more players back, that you could still say we could still get through. But we know they'll have opportunities even when they come to our place. But if we can lose and it's only by the odd goal, then we give ourselves a chance. But I'm going to possibly go 2-2 on this one.
2-2. That's good. Come with the predictions. Nige, what's your prediction?
I think it's going to be an uncomfortable night, but I do think we have enough to get a draw. For me, I said it last night, I think it's going to be an uncomfortable 1-1 draw. And we come out of there not playing well, but relieved to still be in the tie and have a good chance in the second leg.
Business as usual, right? That
Same as
performance
Spurs.
levels, that's what it's going to be, isn't it? Business as usual. Philly?
Personally, I'm not watching the match, mate. If I get
What are you doing?
If I get a pillow and a blanket, Ruba, I think I might enjoy a good night's sleep, because that game is going to bore me to sleep, man.
It's an early one,
know
Philly.
the game already, right?
It's
So, and so with that in mind, yeah, right. If Tottenham don't come out with a draw or a win in that game, I want Ange Postecoglou sacked on the spot, because that's how bad AZ were on the weekend. I have to say it now, yeah. There's a level of standards here and a level of pride. If he comes out of a draw in this game, yeah, I want the man sacked instantly. If he comes out of a defeat, I want the man sacked. If he comes in the home leg and we get knocked out by AZALKMAAR, I want the man sacked straight away on the spot. I don't want to see him here because that would show me exactly what I think of him as a manager. He's a bad manager. So there it is for me. But yeah.
Man, it's a 5:30 kickoff, man. You can't go to bed that early.
Mate, Tottenham put me to sleep, so I know them already. After 20 minutes, mate, it doesn't matter if it's at 3 o'clock or 12 or 12:30, mate. I fall asleep to 20 minutes of watching Tottenham. I ain't gonna lie in there. That is boring.
Look, I don't blame you, man. It's rubbish, isn't it? It's rubbish. It's not. I'm not looking forward to it. But again, like I said, I've got to try and get behind something, man. That's all what's left this season is this competition, and you just have to pray, don't you? You have to pray. So was there a prediction in there, Philly, or was that you're going to go and wash your hair that evening?
Yeah, I'm gonna wash my hair that evening.
Like,
I'm gonna.
Jimmy said here.
Nah, but Chippy said, yeah, right. Tottenham should win the game at least 2-1, if not 3-1. It should be at least 2-1.
So that's your prediction, yeah? 2-1.
Yeah, I'm expecting Spurs to win this game. If Spurs don't come out with either a win or a draw in this game, yeah, then Ange Postecoglou should be sacked on the spot because AZ are that poor.
Fair enough. I don't know. I think it will probably be a draw. I think maybe 2-2, 1-1, something like that. Maybe they'll surprise us and get a win, but look, we'll see on Thursday. It's not far away. Okay, let's move on. Just onto like Ange and the players and your expectations for the rest of the season. I have a question for you guys as well in a minute about something. But look, Nige, let's start off with you. What do you want to see for the rest of the season from Ange, from the players? I know it's tough. I know, but
do you know what I want to see? I want to see us go hell for leather for this Europa League, and that means playing the strongest team as we can. And then in the league, we're not going down. We're not going to hit the top 10. Let's get the kids. Let's blood the kids. Let's play them. Why not? You know, obviously play a bit of experience, but let's give Mikey Moore's legs. Let's play him for the rest of the season in the league. You know, let's bring some of the youngsters in and see how they do, and then just go all out for the Europa. That's what I want.
Agree. I agree, Nige. I would love to see that. You know, you might as well because you're not going to go down. You're not going to get in. You're not going to get into Europe. So you might as well just give the kids their legs here and let them play in let them play in the league. Because what else is there in the league to play for? There's nothing.
Do you think do you think we'll lose another 5 or 6 games in that Premier League?
Right, we still got to go to Anfield. That's a defeat. We're still going to Stamford Bridge. That's a defeat. That's 2 already. Yeah.
West Ham.
And then, West Ham, I'm not sure about West Ham because sometimes they can play good, like they did against Arsenal, and sometimes they can play absolutely poor. So you just don't know with West Ham. They're another team that you just don't know what's going to get. But when you look at the likes of, we still got to play Bournemouth. Bournemouth can be a very tricky team. You don't know what Bournemouth's going to show up if
Fulham
they play
away.
the way they've been playing.
Fulham away.
Yeah, that's another nasty game. So yeah, I reckon we will get more than 5.
Okay, same question to Nige and Karl. Karl, do you reckon another 5 or 6 defeats easily?
Convincingly. Not even in question, I don't think, given the season. Like, as we said, you've got Liverpool again. That'll be a battering. That won't just be a defeat. That'll be a battering. Chelsea away. That'll be a heavy defeat. Fulham won't beat them away from home. Won't beat West Ham. There's easily another 5 or 6 defeats.
Even with our players back?
Even with the players back. We had our players at the end of last season and we were getting beat convincingly. So I think there's this myth that Spurs' bad form has only been since these players have been missing. Well, that's a massive myth because we had a lot of these key players, Romero, Van der Ven, at the end of last season, and we were still getting torn apart by teams. So anyone that thinks this bad form has just coincided with some injuries is in cuckoo land. This was happening even when we had our key players because of the system, and it will happen again this season. You know, like I say, Liverpool, that could again be another 6 or so on the day, couldn't it? Even if you had Romero and Van der Ven, because you might have Romero and Van der Ven, but when they're being left 2 men against 4, there's only so much you can do, you know.
But we did get a 3 game winning thing the other week. Could we do it again?
But that, for me, that's how the season's going to go. We'll win a couple, lose a couple, win 1, lose 2, win 1, lose 2. That the season now will just peter out. And as Nige said, the best you can hope for is we put all our eggs in the Europa League basket. Keep the key players fresh just for those fixtures.
Yeah.
Bed in some of the youngsters. You know, that's see Archie Gray in a 6th position, possibly at some point, and let him have a run out there. That's give Mikey more minutes. That's give Odebert more minutes. You know, the likes of Scarlett. That's give them these runs in the league, because the league now there's nothing in the league, is there?
Do you believe Ange is going to do that? I don't.
No, not at all.
No chance. No chance in hell is he doing that. He's fighting for his job. Look, come on, let's talk this out. He is fighting for his job, right? So, Nige, you agree as well? You think there's another 5 or 6 defeats in there? Yeah.
We've got 11 left, haven't we? So it wouldn't surprise me if we win 5, lose 6. It wouldn't surprise me if we lose 6, win 6, lose 5.
So
I think,
if that's the case, if we do go on to lose another 5 or 6, that's the worst defeat since 2003 and possibly 1991-92. Now, how does any manager survive that number of defeats when it gets to the end of the season? How?
Winning the Europa League.
No, but yeah, we're not going to win. We're unlikely to win that. I mean, if we do, then that's a different conversation. So think about this. How can he survive, or any manager survive that level of defeats? I'm struggling with that, because some fans think he's going to be here next year. There's other, all sorts of fans think he is.
Right.
Some thinks he's gone. Guys, get into it with us.
On a football basis here, if Ange stays here after this season and you haven't won anything, then I'm questioning the ownership and saying that your priorities is no longer football, and it's all about the money that you're going to make from Ange Postecoglou. It's nothing to do with anything to do football wise anymore. It's all about the money. And that's the question I'm going to have with this ownership, because I already have that theory in my head already, right? That it's all about the money. It's not about what's on the football pitch. Because I'm looking at Son Heung-min and I'm wondering, you haven't earned your contract this year. I'm looking at Ange Postecoglou and thinking, you couldn't be Tamworth, a part-time team. You have brothers playing like Super Mario, man. One man's a plumber in the daytime, yeah, but he's a footballer at night, My man there, you couldn't beat them over 90 minutes, blood. You couldn't be. You couldn't
gross? What's it called when something is so bad? It's gross. What is it? Someone used it the other day on a stream. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Mark.
Gross incompetence.
Gross negligence, I think.
Yeah, to keep a man in the job with no progression, from 5th in the league, he spent more money. We could end up anywhere from 16th to 12th. Yeah, if we lose another 5 or 6 games. I mean, I don't understand how he can still keep this job. Okay, wins the Europa League, that changes things, yeah?
Right, Dan, let me ask you this here, right? We banter Arsenal, yeah, because they spent close to £800 million, yeah, in 5 years under Arteta. Do you know that Ange's had £335 million, yeah, in 2 years from Tottenham Hotspurs? So isn't that worse than Arteta? I'm sorry, but you've had the money yet in a short amount of time. You nearly spent half of what Arteta spent there in 5 years. Yet we have seen nothing on the football team, on the football pitch here that to show where that money's gone. There is nothing to show me where that money is gone in terms of player quality or nothing like that. It's awful, man, watching Tottenham play every week.
He spent more than Conte. He spent more than Mourinho. He spent more than Nuno, and we're worse. I mean, it's just common sense, isn't it? Like, it's not working. It's not, and I know they'll be sympathetic with the injuries. Do you think? I know this is far fetched. I don't know. You could debate this, but do you think Levy and the recruitment team, whoever, has looked at it and thought, look, we really didn't support Ange with what he needed in that summer, and they're going to give him a little pass? I don't know, man. This is just talking. I don't agree with that, but
I hope not.
Is there anything there about that, Karl? What do you reckon?
Do you know the problem that I think we have here with Ange is there's still a large chunk of this fan base who I'm not sure why. And like as you said a minute ago, Dan, the injuries will be an excuse that they'll give him for a large chunk of this season, saying about the injury crisis and he never had a fully fit squad. But there's still a large chunk of this fan base who are going off of hope. And the fact of like, yeah, but we can see what he's trying to do. And it takes time to change the mentality and do all this. And you've seen when we've beaten teams like City 4-0, you can see what we can do and what sort of football we can play under Ange. And the trouble is, they're not looking at the evidence that's in front of your face. That is, after that first 10 games of last season, this manager has been horrific. They're still hanging on and they'll die on that sword of there's hope. We think Ange, we think he's the right man that can bring us this, and
He's liked, isn't he, Karl? He's very liked by the people inside the club and the fans.
That's why I say it wouldn't surprise me if he was still here come next season, because I think there is still enough of the fan base. If you watch people like I say, I'm not digging any of these people out, but if you watch Chris Cowling's show, Last Word on Spurs, some of those channels, there's enough people that go on those shows and enough people in the ground when you talk to him that go, yeah, but I think you can see what he's trying to do. He's got to change the mentality of the club. And for some reason, these people still think, even though they should have seen with their own eyes by now that this bloke is well out of his depth, they still think this bloke is the right man. And that's why part of me still thinks come the end of the season, he'll still be the manager of this club.
It is a concern for me. I have to be honest here. It is. That's what I've been. We started at the weekend, didn't we? Nige, we went through it, didn't we? From his tension, when he started last season, we didn't get through it all, but we're going to finish it off next week, hopefully. But look, I get where you're coming from, Karl, and it's a major concern. Really, really is that.
And put it this way: if he was doing that,
19 defeats, Karl. Are you sure? 19 defeats, 20 defeats, possibly. That's half the games, and we've spent that money at level of players.
These people are making every excuse under the sun for him, aren't they? They can't turn around and just go, he's out of his depth.
I said that from August, You'll hear every excuse under the sun to explain the easiness of, by the way, and it's part and parcel of football. Injury, suspension, and fatigue are all part and parcel of football. But now, I said that there'll be excuses for Ange that will come out. Now, I'm going to say this to you, Karl, and this is for everybody in the chat, right? The mentality of the football club is not dictated by the manager. He is too small down to be changing the mentality of a football club. The mentality of a football club, is changed from the owner's perspective. The owners come in there and they throw a marker down, and the mentality is set by them, not by any manager coming in. That does not happen. He is too far low down the food chain to be setting any mentality issues at the football club.
Why doesn't it always has to come from the top down, doesn't it? But as we've always known, when have you ever heard Levy or the board come out and say, we want to win trophies? It's not something you hear them saying. They're not. It's all about, we want to be financially secure. We want to be this. We want to be that. At no point do you hear Daniel Levy or anyone come out and say, we want to see Tottenham Hotspur winning Premier League titles, winning League Cups, winning FA Cups, challenging for Champions Leagues. It's not even on their radar. It's not important to them.
Why don't they, when it comes to a summer, and I listened to something today, I think it was Van der Vaart, he was on TalkSport, and he said the problem with Spurs is they sign so many players when really they just need to sign 2 or 3 top players to come straight in and improve the team immediately. Why don't the board do that? Why?
Because it's not their model, is it? Their model is we want to buy 18, 19-year-olds for 10 mil, 15 mil, 25. But this season they've done it the opposite way. They bought Archie Gray for £40 million. Now he'll have to become some player for them to make their 80, 90, 100 million, 50 mil profit. But in the past, it's always been buy that £10 million youngster, and if he makes it big, we've got a £100 million player on our hands. And Spurs might benefit from that player for 2 seasons, maybe. And then when Madrid come in, they'll take him. We don't buy ready-made players. It's not their philosophy.
Okay.
We want to buy players that do profit.
So why aren't more fans unhappy about this? They've witnessed it for 24 years. I know there was a big protest the other day, and it was the biggest we've seen. Yeah. Why are not enough fans doing enough about this? Why are they accepting it? Is it just because, there's different type of fans, right? Some fans, they just go to the games, they catch up with their mates, have a good time, have a drink, have some food. Spurs win or lose, they don't really care. I'm sure there's fans like that. I don't understand this. How this has gone on for so long, and they're still renewing the season tickets. They're still going to the games. They're still hoping for that Spurs are suddenly going to win something and challenge. I just don't know. I can't do it anymore.
That's the sadness, Daniel. It's that love and that loyalty and that love the Spurs fans have here has now become a whip that these Spurs fans are beaten with by this ownership, mate. That's the sadness of it. Because they could easily make a right when Man City, the owners of Man City came into Man City, the first sign they made was Robinho. Yeah, that was a statement of intent. That was like, look, right, we're on the big stage now. Players, if you want to come here, yeah, and you want to achieve something, yeah, you come in right when you're in your pinnacle, yeah, and you're going to achieve something at this football club. Tottenham have never done that, and they're not going to do that with this ownership, because this ownership here are more about taking young players, flipping them over, and then sell them for bigger money. But we saw this with Nicholas and Anelka and Arsenal, so it's not like it's something that's not new. Right, but this team here could have done that years ago. They could have thrown out a statement, made a statement of intent, yeah, and said, "Look, yeah, we're going to win something," but they don't want to, and that's sadness for any Spurs fan, because until these people have gone, yeah, we're not going to win anything. It doesn't matter who the manager is.
No, you're right. We've had some great teams under Leave. Great players. If you take it back to that Redknapp team, I'm talking about it now because Van der Vaart was talking about it when he went on today. But that was some great players in that team. And look, I know we didn't go over the line, and the board again didn't back Redknapp.
No, but the thing is, Daniel, how do we brought Cahill here to fix the defence here at the time? Because the defence was the weakness under Redknapp here. He wanted Cahill to come in there and fix the defence, and he also wanted to get Treves to come up front. So he knew what the issues were. All the club had to do was to back him, and what they gave him here was a washed-up Reece Nelson, and Saha, who was finished at the time of his career. So what were you doing, bro?
Guys, it's a lot. Let's go to the chat. And bring up some comments. CEM, evening to you. No manager survived that, even with a Europa League. And yeah, I agree. Even if we win that Europa League, I don't want Ange here. I'm sorry. It's not for me. No way. I don't know what he's doing. I don't understand him. He doesn't, like, with all these defeats that we've had, and he's banging on about injuries. Yeah. What are you looking at yourself? He never looks at himself. He never says, look, I've learned a lot in this period. I need to change things up. He never does. Just injuries. Deflection. That's very, very concerning to me. David says, Phillips, it took you 29 years until that question at ownership. You're a funny man. Must be talking to someone in the chat. Do you think Ange will tap up the Plymouth-Philly?
Well, I think the centre half. Sorry, man. I think the centre half of Tamworth had more skills than the Tottenham ones, because my man did a Zidane turn in that match. That was fantastic watching him do that in the middle of the game, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
True. That's Spurs. The club signs the players. Manager has very little input, I think. Again, this is a problem. Big problem. Even if Ange miraculously wins the Europa League, I wouldn't want him continuing next season. No. If Ange's job to get the best out of the group of players is given, and we know that's not been good. Look, I'm 100% sure a different manager would get more out of that team. 100% convinced. You just have to look at the league, and you look at Bournemouth, look at Brighton, Nottingham Forest, less budgets. They're getting more out of them teams. And yeah, you can't tell me that player to player they're better than Spurs. I don't think so. CM again, worst of all, they believe he may be able to do the job without any evidence here or previously that he's been remotely capable. And then this is when I go to Nige. I don't know if you want to take this one, that there has actually been no improvement. There's nothing, and there's no evidence to say or anything we can see. We watch our team every week. Yeah. Where is it? Where is the improvement? It's just got worse and worse and worse.
You're right. There isn't any improvement. I can't name one player that I think Ange has improved. I literally can't name one player that I think he's improved. I can name 4 or 5 that I think have digressed under him, or regressed, but not improved. Yeah, we're not getting any better under Ange, and the sooner the season ends, the better for me.
So what is the board seeing? And is it just they're just thinking, oh, the fans seem happy with him, so we're happy with him? I don't get it. Anybody with a football brain in the club will see that this is just atrocious. You speak to rival fans about us right now and under Ange, they laugh at us. They just say, Ange, how is he still in the job? He's an embarrassment. He really is. Anybody you speak to outside, or friends you work with.
I think Levy's been stung by Conte and Mourinho, and he's
a
now
yes man. He's a yes
happy
man.
with the yes man.
Yeah, a puppet, as some people like to call him. Karl, do you want to input into that at all?
Yeah, like I say, you do question it, don't you? But again, like as we said, there's still a level of support for Ange, and I think some people go back on that whole thing that we wanted attacking football back, and Ange brought attacking football back, and you sort of go, he did for 10 games of his first season, where suddenly no one can deny those first 10 games under his reign, you sat there and thought, well, this is all right. We're playing good football. Even when we were losing games, it was by the odd goal and we were still looking dangerous on the attack. And you thought, well, this is good football. But after that Chelsea game, everything fell apart. And since then, there's nothing you can see in this manager that gives you any faith or should give you any belief that this is a bloke that can get it together and take a club further than he did that first season, a fifth, and get you up there challenging for top fours or that. And it's not only us now, is it? Most of the pundits are sitting there, aren't they, saying you can't play football like this. You cannot play a system that does this and has your team this wide open. It can't work. It won't work. And, when virtually every pundit that is analysing a Spurs game is going, this is crazy. Why are the fullbacks this high up? Why in this situation at this point in the game are Spurs doing this or doing that? That should tell you everything you need to know.
Look. He can't be here. He can't. It's just for all the evidence that would be astonishing if he keeps that job, wouldn't it, guys? I'd be shocked.
This will be the most Spursy thing ever. He'll win that Europa League, and then there's no way he's going if he wins that.
Well, I want to win something. I'll be happy, of course, but doesn't mean I'm happy with him. I'm happy for the team, yeah, but it doesn't mean I'm happy with Ange. It would be a bit of a fluke, wouldn't it? Because we haven't seen him set up a team well this season and get much. Look, there's probably been a handful of games where we've done okay, yeah? You probably can name 4 or 5 games that you thought, okay, we've done well.
Was that because Ange set the team up, or was that because we played a team that forced us into that style?
I would go with that. I would go with that because Ange just openly admitted that he doesn't change. He doesn't want to change. He plays one way and one way only. And he's just the biggest excuse maker I've ever heard. At Archer, the quality of players we sign is lower than White Hart Lane. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
recruitment is atrocious. I mean, the first window Ange had was okay. I thought Maddison, Van der Ven, Doggy obviously came back from loan. Arsenal, what's that? Winning 4-1, are they?
Sorry, Dan. I'm just watching my team just score 2. Real Madrid are beating Atletico 2-1, mate, and I've just seen my team just score. So that's what I'm celebrating. Real Madrid scoring. Sorry about that.
Who scored?
I think it's is it Birami? Yeah, I think it's Baram. I think he scored. So we just scored in the first half. They equalised and we've just scored again. Give me a second.
I don't like these Arsenal results in the chat.
Diaz has just got the second one.
Diaz, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Look, that's your second team then, Philly, yeah? Madrid.
Oh yeah, have to be, man. They're the only ones keeping me in love with football at the moment, man. I can't watch Tottenham. They bore me. I'm sorry, they do. They put me to sleep. It's better than counting. Watching Tottenham, yes, it's more effective than counting sheep, brother. That's all I can say to people.
True, very true. Postecoglou is not costing the board too much money in his content with lower level signings. Yeah, he's a yes man, JJ. But we ain't winning the Europa League, Karl. End of. I can't see us winning not that way. And then Karl, you're replying to Jimmy. Right, let's wrap this up now. We're just going to go over the Bournemouth game, and then we'll try and wrap it up in like 15 minutes. What I wanted to talk about with Bournemouth is there's some things I want to bring up. What I've been looking into Bournemouth, their transfer window, and I don't know if you guys have seen this. Let me show you. Any of you seen this? I mean, it's not completely up to date. It was probably a few weeks ago, but this is cost per point. Let me just take that comment down the screen so I can read it better. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Anybody seen this or understands it?
Understand it, yeah.
Yeah.
Says they've got their head screwed on.
Let's see Tottenham doing well again.
Hold on. I think I've got a bit more information about it. I wanted to speak, but I don't know where it's gone now. Look, read it into what you want. Let's have a look at their spending, Bournemouth. So this is the season gone. This is who they brought in. Net spend. 126 million euros. Look at that transfer window. I think the one on the top left is their striker.
Yeah, Evan Nielsen. Evan Nielsen, yeah, good player, and he's done well for his first season with him.
Do you think that's even worse, though? Don't you think this is that's even worse here when you think that Tottenham basically funded Bournemouth's whole transfer window? Because I think more than half of the money that Bournemouth spent there came from Tottenham and Solanke. Don't you think that's even worse when you think that Tottenham are way behind Bournemouth when you funded half of their window?
Yeah, look, and you look at them signings. You know, they're not. You know, if Spurs sign some of those players, you'd be thinking, what's going on? But it's clearly working for the manager. Guys, give us your thoughts on Bournemouth, their season.
Like
I
you
just
said,
think they've done fantastic.
What they've got is they've got a good manager who, what he's brought in there is a system. People forgetting as well, they've had about 10 players out injured as well. So when we talk about Spurs having an injury crisis, Bournemouth have also had an injury crisis this season with 10 players out at one point, but they're still getting results. They're still playing well because what they've got is they've got a manager who's implementing a system and a style of play. And when one player goes out, the next one just fits in. And because they're organised and have a structure, they know what they need to do and how they need to play. And that is showing you everything that Ange hasn't got. Because that manager has got that system. He's coaching those players. When you play here, this is what you do when we got the ball. When we don't have the ball, this is what you do. And look at the effect it's having on Bournemouth this season. They're having a great season for them. And that, to me, is all down to the manager. Because as you said, Dan, when you look at that squad, there's no way that anyone can tell me that squad is man for man better than Tottenham's squad.
No. Now, there is an argument I hear on social media, just fans speak out that Bournemouth haven't had to play 3 games a week like Spurs. What do you want to say about that, Philly?
We played 3 games a week last season. We didn't play 3 games a week last season, and we were poor. Now, I'm going to take a bit from you on this one, Karl, and that is, Ange doesn't play the players to their strengths. I look at Ange and I think he plays them to their weaknesses. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I look at the players that we have here and the players that he wants playing in his system, and I see them playing all of them to their disadvantages. When you look at Bournemouth, yeah, right, they play their players here to get the maximum out of their players they have. When you look at someone like Kluivert's been struggling, yeah, from when the time he left Holland, he's been struggling. I've seen him go to Italy, yeah, and I've seen him struggle in Italy. I've seen him move to other clubs and see him struggle. Now at Bournemouth, yeah, it's like he's found a home over there, right? And the man just getting the best out of him. Right, and now we're starting to see him flourish and become the player that they thought that we might see when he was back in Holland. Now that's on Areola and on Kluivert for the work that he's put into it. Now you're looking at the way that these players are played, yeah. The likes of David Brooks that they've got there as well. They are good players for Bournemouth. I'm liking the way that they set up, and I like the way that they are organised, and I know exactly what they want to do. But when you watch Tottenham, yeah, a lot of the players who played, yeah, they're played out of position. They're asked to do something they're not supposed to do, like a Basuma playing as a 6. He's no way, shape, or form a 6. He's actually an 8. You can actually see that he's dying to get up and be a box-to-box midfielder, but he's forced to play as a 6. He doesn't have the discipline or the concentration to play a 6. But yet, every week, yeah, he's forced to play that role. And then you wonder why he makes a mistake. Maybe it's because the manager's not hearing that the Malay is not a 6 but an 8. Maybe the manager's not hearing this. Maybe the manager's not hearing that Maddison is not the player that we is. So when we do see Tottenham fall in games here, how much can we actually blame the players and how much can we actually blame the manager and playing the players in the system doesn't fit them?
So why aren't Levy and co looking across or looking down to Bournemouth? I mean, looking up in the league, but looking at that, what's going on over there, and questioning things. Nige?
It's got to be. He's got to be doing that. He's got to be looking at teams that are above us now, the likes of Bournemouth, the likes of Forest, and thinking, how come they are doing so well and we're not? I can't believe for a minute that, Levy's not the brightest tool in the box when it comes to football on the pitch. But I fail to believe that he's sat there thinking, everything's okay. We're all right. He is under massive pressure now. I don't think there's any way he's not thinking something needs to change in the summer, whether that be the manager or whether that be him actually backing him more. I don't know, but he can't be happy with what's going on at Tottenham, especially when you've got teams that are usually down near the bottom challenging for Champions League places.
I guess the hope, Dan, is that Levy maybe was thinking, I've got nowhere else to turn for the rest of this season. So listen, I can't go anywhere else this season. I can't bring anyone else in that I think is a long-term manager that takes us anywhere different. So I need this manager just to get us through to the end of this season. And like as Nige said, there's no way that Levy's sitting there thinking everything's all right. This is all good. But he might be sitting there thinking, I can't do nothing right now about it. There's no manager I can go out and get that changes this, that I can realistically get right now. So I need just to let this guy take us to the end of the season. While he was in the cups, he was probably thinking, if he can magically get a cup over the line, then that changes everything. And yeah, as Nige said, that's the hope. He might just be thinking, you see it out now till the end of the season, but come the end of the season, if you don't win that Europa League, which we all think we're not going to, then I can make the change and just say, listen, Ange, thanks very much, but it isn't working. And you'd like to think a competent organisation would have a plan in place already for where they're going when that final whistle blows on that last game of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to ask yourself two questions, and this is why I ask myself as a Spurs fan. You got to ask yourself here, right? Do managers look at the club here and think this is a poison chalice like the England job? Because I'm looking at a lot of managers here, and they must have watched the likes of Jose Mourinho. They must have watched the likes of Conte come to this club here and experience failure at this football club. So they must be looking and thinking, is it worth for my career to come to Tottenham Hotspurs here and work for Daniel Levy, knowing that I'm not going to get what I need? So therefore, do I really want to risk my reputation going there? And the same thing for players. Do I actually want to risk my reputation going to Tottenham Hotspurs, knowing I'm not going to achieve anything? Is that worth
Philly,
it?
let me put this to you. Say you were the manager, right? Say you were a manager and you saw Spurs and you saw that group of players and you come in, you got the interview for the job and you know, what do you think with this group of players? What do you think we need? And that manager, and you're the manager, and you say, look, we need a DM. We need more up front, you know, better winger, better forward, defensive cover, you know, to challenge that team. Would you fancy that job?
No. Because I look at Daniel Levy, yeah. Thank you, big up Nige, yeah, who told me this afternoon you bought a new car, yeah. Big up this one because this is where I look at Lee Carpenter, Daniel Levy. I look at him like a used car salesman, my friend. I expect the engine to fall out the car when we go around the block, mate. That's what I look at Daniel Levy as, man. Because I know
if you were a manager,
can tell
do you
me
not think you can get something out of that squad? You don't think you could get more out of that squad than Ange's?
Mate, anyone can get something out of the squad. As long as you're defensively resolute, yeah, you can get something out of the squad that Ange can't do because he's not defensively solid. So straight away, yeah, if you can make your team defensively solid and hard to beat, then you can do a better job than Ange in the Tottenham team.
Looking at it, if there are managers looking at it, whoever they're looking at, you know, yes, it's not the most attractive job. Yes, you know, Levy doesn't back you, but can you get more of those out of what that team now with a few additions to really, you know, try and do something next season? Look, I'm just asking
I think when you look at the whole club as a whole, don't you? When you look at the ground, the training ground, the infrastructure around the club, the resources that you might have, you can't be telling me we couldn't go and prize Iriola away from Bournemouth and say to him, listen, you've great done there, but there is a ceiling. And Spurs, we can offer you more. We have got more resources. Come to us, do what you've done at Bournemouth, take us forward. We can get, it is an appealing club, Tottenham. It is all there. The big problem is, and this is where it's going to be defining, we need protests like that one the other week. That needs to happen almost every game now at the ground, where you might make Levy and ENIC think we actually might need to do something in the summer here. This might be the season where we actually do need to invest, because this lot are turning up every week right now. There's no good having one protest and then that's it for the rest of the season, because that if it's like, well, if these blokes are going to show up once every
Southampton, isn't it the Southampton game?
Yeah, but Tottenham are doing work in the meantime anyway, aren't they? Oh, well, that's what Brian Daigle said. Teams for Tottenham are doing a lot of work in the background. They might not be protesting every game, but they're doing a lot of work to try and bring notice to the cause. So they're doing their job. So you just have to play it by ear, really.
But the only notice to that is when you got thousands standing outside the ground protesting. Nothing happening. You give these guys credit in the change for Tottenham. But unless it's in the media spotlight outside the ground, shining a big light on the club and the job that ENIC or the mismanagement that ENIC are doing with the club, that's the only way that you'll get action, with that big spotlight on the club every week.
I agree. Yeah.
Going back to the manager quickly, I think we could attract some of the best managers. If I was a manager and Daniel Levy said to me, if you want a Spurs job, I'd be thinking Mourinho failed, Conte failed, Pochettino failed. Imagine if I go there and win something. Like, there'd be a statue of me up. I'd be like the most loved man in Tottenham. Yeah, I'll take the job. And if I fail, so what? Everyone else has failed.
Get paid well.
Money. Not being funny. It's money, isn't it?
I get paid well, yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to get 6, 7, 8 million a year, even if you fail, I'll still get that money. So I'm like you. We can attract managers. It's just whether we'll attract a manager and we'll do what we need to give them the resources to do what they want to do. And that means if they want to buy a 28-year-old with no sell-on value, that's what you need to do. That was the mistake with the Contes and the Joses, wasn't it? We brought them in still with this view that we want to buy potential. when they're managers that go, I want to buy this 30-year-old and he's only going to give me 2 seasons. And when he goes for free, but he'll win us cups in those 2 seasons. And Levy goes, no, that's not how we operate here. So, well, that's what you've brought me in for. And that's why it didn't work.
Exactly.
Right, let's go to the chat. And then I just want to go back to that Bournemouth game quickly before we wrap up. Big up, Rich. Not sure about that. Think the boardroom is an echo chamber and they think they're all doing a great job. Yeah.
I think that is one of the problems. Yeah. Levy has made all those board owners very rich people. So who's going to turn against the man that's given you everything you've got?
Yeah, 100%. And audio artisan, I have a terrible feeling we're going to get Southgate in the summer. Well,
he's the perfect Levy man, isn't he?
We'd organise the team, but it wouldn't be fun, would it? It would be another
waistcoat. Nice.
That would be
they'd be in the club shop, wouldn't they?
Can you imagine starting next season as our manager? Can you imagine the chaos having Ange here and all the disagreements amongst the fan base over Ange? Imagine Southgate. My gosh, that's a scary thought. What would happen there? Because there are fans who think, yeah, well, Southgate, he can organise a team, and you know,
right now I take it.
Oh man, we can do better than that, surely. Maddie, big up, Maddie. Consistency is the key with protests. You're right. No plan for Sunday for some weird reason. No, but as Richard says here, it is the Southampton game, and it's a game on Sky. So yeah, get down there. What's the date on that, guys? Just remind me, because I need to try and get down there. Yeah, check it out quickly, guys. Have a look while I go through this. I need to get down there. We're a comfort zone. Yeah, we are. Too many players. Comfort. Paid so much money.
April the 6th, the next Southampton game.
April the 6th. Okay, thank you. On a Sunday, is it?
Yes.
4:30 kickoff.
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
Okay, early one. Okay, good to know. No statues, Nige. Steady on. Bill Nick's nowhere to be seen outside the stadium.
True.
And Mark, the top end of the club has no ambition whatsoever. They don't care. And LV3, big up to you. 6th of April for the protest. Thank you. And I'm coming down from Leeds for it. Yeah, fair play to you, man. Evening to Lisa. Hope you're well. Evening to you, gorgeous guys. Hope you're all good. Thank you, Lisa. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining us. And Brian, big up to you, man. Hope you're good. 6th of April, and I'm trying to fly home a week early so I can attend. Yeah, well, I hope you can make it, Brian, man. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be bigger this time, even bigger than the last one. You know, more people get involved and more noise. And yeah, you really, really hope it keeps going strong. Okay, let's just finish off with that Bournemouth game. I just wanted to bring up Bournemouth's results recently, just quickly fly through them. So this is their. Let me take down that comment quickly from Brian. Here we go. So look, 4th of Jan, beat Everton, won a FA Cup game, went to Chelsea, got a point, smashed Newcastle. Man, that result was impressive because they had so many injuries in that game. What a result! Beating a very good Nottingham Forest team 5-0. Yes, they lost to Liverpool at home, but Liverpool are the best side right now. Went to Everton and won. Went to Southampton and won. Got a surprising defeat at home to Wolves. And then they lost to Brighton, which is, you know, Brighton a good team on their day. And then they went through the FA Cup in penalties against Wolves. And then the league table, let me bring up the league table where they are. They're sitting in 7th, 12 wins, 7 draws, 8 losses, 45 goals scored, and 32 conceded, plus 13 goal difference on 43 points. So they're in touch and distance of 4th place in the chase for European positions. I think they deserve it with the season they've had. They're going to be a test for us. I can tell you that much. Is it Sunday, right? Guys, what time is it Sunday?
I think so.
Is it an early one? Is it the 4 o'clock?
Is it 4 o'clock one?
Oh, I
Have
don't
a look.
know. Have a look. Lose track.
2 o'clock again, Sunday.
2 o'clock. So yeah. So a game. Obviously, we come off that Europa League match. Tricky game, isn't it? Tricky game. I think Bournemouth will fancy themselves. I mean, guys, Philly, what do you think?
I can see the excuse already. I can see the excuse already. We just flew off to Denmark, to the Netherlands and played against AZ. And when we came back and we were tired. Get out, man. Real talk. You know that's gonna be the
Only an
excuse.
hour
We were
flight from
tired.
Holland, man. Hour and a half flight. It's nothing.
Yeah, I know, but you'll still hear the excuse, Dan. It'll be, we're tired. We flew to Holland and came back. But
Private jet.
and so what's going to happen here is that if Bournemouth was smart, they would ride out the Tottenham way for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then they'll just stretch the game. And as the game goes on, Tottenham will tire because they played on Thursday night, and then they'll have more and more chances to get at Tottenham as the game dies off. And the same thing, and then Tottenham will go into from that game into the Alkmaar game, the second leg. But that's just what I want to see at this moment in time, because I just know already that this game, Spurs will be lucky to get a draw from this game for me. That's what I'm looking at.
Draw is the best you think we'll get against Bournemouth.
Mm-hmm.
Karl, you predicting a loss?
I think they'll be too organised for us. But then at the same time, we've been saying all night that we should stick all our eggs in the Europa League basket. So if that is the case, we play our strongest side on the Thursday. And if it means resting a few in the Bournemouth game, then so be it. And yeah, I think they'll be too organised for us and they'll manage to nick it like 2-1 or something like that. Because, yeah, I think they'll be too good for us and the manager will be too smart. But at the same time, if we're thinking that we want to throw all our eggs in the Europa League basket, we can't really moan if that's what we do, can we?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does, doesn't it? Because the return legs next week. Is he? He's going to make
changes. I would rest players because, like I say, we all want us to put everything into Europa League. So I don't see the point of putting players through a Thursday and Sunday. We've accepted that the Premier League season is done for us. So,
there's players available, isn't there? I mean,
right.
We're talking about Romero, Van der Ven returning, Solanke returning as well. Yes, we lost Kulu, but we've got options there. We saw the changes we made the other day against City, and the game we won before away to Ipswich. So yeah, there's options. He can change it up, mix it up. Doesn't have to be the same team.
Yeah, but Dan, there's fitness here, right? Here's where I draw the line here. There's fitness here, right? There's players getting back to fitness here, and then there's match fitness, right? And our players have been out for months on end. They are not going to be. They're going to be rusty when they come back to the team.
What does a manager do, Philly, with this? If you're a sensible manager, how do you manage that situation?
Then you have to play them in the league. You have to play them in the league to get their minutes back up so they can build their match fitness. Because
they don't have to play the whole game.
They don't have to play the whole game, Dan. I'm not asking them to play the whole game, but I'm asking you to play at least about 50, 60 minutes of a game so that you can build up your match fitness. Because match fitness here is a wholly different to being just fit and you're back for fitness. Because you're dealing with match pressure with match fitness. You're dealing with opposition players when they're dealing with. So when they come back from their injury, they're going to be rusty, bro, and that takes time, man, to get back to that kind of level again. So when you're saying that, we've been out for months on end, and then you're coming back straight in the Europa League game, they're not match fit, brother. When they come back in the Europa League game, you do know that, right?
Yeah. No, makes total sense, Philly. I get what you're saying. Nige, what predictions for you, buddy? What are you thinking?
I'm at the point where when it comes to the league, I don't care that much. Saying that, if we were to lose to Alkmaar, I then wouldn't want us to lose to Bournemouth as well. But I think, like Karl said, chucking all our eggs into the Europa League. For me, the league doesn't matter too much.
Ange, are we giving excuses? Because I don't like this. I really
I
don't
don't
like this.
know if it's
We need to win
excuses.
games
But
in the league. We have to win game. We've got to.
But I think that's just prioritising, isn't it now, Dan?
Yeah, I
I
get
don't
that.
think it's excuses. I think you're sitting there saying, right, what do I need to do to prioritise my players to be optimal for what is the important game compared to a game of less significance? Like as Philly said, yes, those players need to be fit. So you're not saying you wouldn't play them in those league games, but you might send them into those league games saying, listen, I'm going to give you 50 minutes. Don't do nothing don't do nothing silly. Van der Ven, I don't need you sprinting for every single ball. Build your fitness up, get yourself where you need to be. But I'm going to rest my key players and play them in those Europa League games. I think that's just prioritising. The excuses, Ange is done with his
It's going to be
excuses.
Ange's excuse, isn't it? Like Philly mentioned. Philly would have said it. Look, the excuses are going to be coming out already. You know, we're like, guys, I get
it's
what
more
you're
about
saying.
the result, though.
I get it.
It's more about the result for me. I don't like. I wouldn't start Van der Ven midweek against Alkmaar. I wouldn't start Solanke, but I would give them minutes against Bournemouth. What I'm saying is, I don't care if we lose to Bournemouth because I just want to win the Europa League games. Now, if we go away in Europa League and Van der Ven doesn't play and Solanke doesn't play, but Romero starts, so we get a 1-1 draw, then fine. Give Van der Ven and Solanke some minutes against Bournemouth, maybe 50 minutes, and then put them straight in for the Europa League return game at home, which I'd be expecting us to win comfortably enough to go through.
Okay, so we got a tricky game against a good team in the middle of, an important fixtures in the Europa League. Yeah. Okay. Look, let's just go over the chat quickly and then wrap it up. Unless anybody else wants to say anything about Bournemouth, I just think that a lot of all the focus now is on Thursday. Get Thursday done, and then we can start talking about Bournemouth a bit more. Let's have a little look in the chat, see any comments. In the chat, anyone want to give their predictions as well? Let us know what you're thinking. Mark, I'll be attending the 6th protest. We want our Tottenham back. We definitely do. Jimmy says we'll lose to Bournemouth. Players complaining of jet lag, Archer. Mark says Cookmaster says excuses FC. That's what we have been this season. And Mark says always an excuse for this shite manager. He is worse since Terry Nil in 76. Look, guys, I'm done. I think unless anybody else wants to bring up any final thoughts of the evening, anything they want to say before we wrap it up. It's been a great show, great chat. I've enjoyed myself. I hope you guys have as well. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you for all your comments. And Nige, final thoughts of the evening.
Just to try and stay positive. Massive week ahead. 2 massive Europa League games. I think we'll get through them. And thanks for joining us, guys. And thank you all in the chat. And come on, you Spurs.
Please, guys, if you haven't, go over and subscribe to Nige. That'd be great. Thank you very much if you haven't done already. And Karl, your final thoughts of the evening?
Yeah, I think like Nigel said, we just have to hope, don't we, that we turn up Thursday. Like I say, worst case scenario is if we can come home, if we've lost, if it can only be by 1 goal, it gives us an opportunity at home to try and turn that round. And then we see where we go from there, don't we?
We do. And thank you for joining us tonight, Karl. And please, if people haven't, please go over and subscribe to that Spurs podcast. Nige, let's get the link up on the screen. Can you get it? I can't seem to.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
You get it up for us, thanks. And Philly, your final thoughts of the night. Thank you so much for jumping on with us. What have you got to say,
Thank you
guy?
for having me. Thank you for having me, my friend DANalyst. Thank you for having me on Nige, and nice to meet you, Karl. I'd like to thank the 2 Marks in the chat and my brother Brian Daigle in the chat as well. Please come over to Football Heritage, because that's my home channel over there, and we've got a charity stream this weekend. So please come on to there and support Savo for his charity, noble cause. And people, don't let Tottenham ruin your day. I've got a brand new channel starting tomorrow, me and Rinketic, called Blockbuster Movies, Games and TV.
I
And
guess
that's
a
going to
link,
be
man.
outside
Send us
of...
a link.
So we're going to start doing stuff that's different for away from Tottenham Hotspurs because, well, like I say, Tottenham, they'll make you laugh or they'll make you cry. So I'd rather not cry. So therefore, we're going to be doing something away from football. And thank you guys for having me.
Philly, what time are you running that show? Is it a weekly show? Give us a bit more information on it.
Well, we're going to try and do it weekly. Because I'm working and so is Rinketic as well. So we're going to try and do it weekly show. And when we can. But the first episode is going to be tomorrow, and then we're going to talk about the new Daredevil series tomorrow. And then from each week, Marvel, and we're going to be doing the Star Wars as well. We're going to be doing the whole heap of stuff, mate, between me and him, because me and him do a lot of dialogue backstage, and we do a lot of talking. So we're going to put it out there for everybody. And hopefully you guys come over to our new channel and smash a like and stuff.
No, that's interesting, man. I love my movies, and I need to catch up on a lot, man. Since doing YouTube, man, my list has kind of got a bit bigger. I need to get back, and we've got the summer. I'm saving it all for the summer. All the stuff I need to watch. But look, man, I'll be jumping on and having a listen to that, man. That's right up my street. Yeah, definitely, man. So get the link out, man, into the chats and stuff. Yeah, so we can you can all subscribe. Big up, Jimmy. Big up to everybody who's watched. Thank you again, and we'll be back next week, Tuesday, Beyond the Lane, episode 25. We're reviewing those 2 Get matches, and so yeah, come down and join us, get involved. And again, thank you, Philly. Thank you, Karl. Cheers, Nige, and take care. And come on, you Spurs.